Hey, this is Warren Redlick. I just have one question for you today. Did you panic? The one basic point is if you panicked yesterday, if you bought the fear, ask yourself, why did I fall for it? How do I do better next time? I was on X a lot yesterday, and yesterday X was filled with people panicking. Bill Ackman panicked. Here's Senator Mark Kelly. The stock market is collapsing. We're on Alex Berenson. So many voices that I generally, not Senator Mark Kelly, but so many voices that I generally respect were describing as if the stock market was about to collapse. It fell 0.2% yesterday. It was up part of the day. The stock market did not collapse. I'm not saying that I agree with Donald Trump's trade policy. I don't have a strong opinion about Donald Trump's trade policy. I'm a free trader. I think the problem is that other countries are not free traders. I think Donald Trump is sensibly trying to force other countries to trade more fairly with the United States. Is he right? I don't know. Is he pursuing the right method? I don't know. But panicking is silly. I think that he's actually, from what I can see, and it's hard to see, from what I can see, he is actually playing a very smart way of negotiating, putting China and Europe in difficult positions, setting it up so that he can make deals with smaller countries first and demonstrate what's really important in this is patience. Everyone else is demonstrating a complete lack of patience, and Donald Trump is like, nah, there's no hurry. We'll figure it out. If you are impatient, you won't negotiate well. If you demonstrate to the other side, I'm panicked, I'm worried, we can't have our stock market fall 0.2% in the day because of trade worries, then you will not get good results in your negotiation with the other side because they'll figure, well, you'll cave. You'll ca- Donald Trump is signaling he's not caving in negotiations, and there's a reality here that the vast majority of countries we deal with, if not all of them, they depend on trade with the United States more than the United States depends on trade with them. And from what I can see, Trump is really positioning this to be a war on China, to position China to where China has to cave because China trades very unfairly. And look, I'm in Thailand. Thailand trades very. I wanted to buy a Cybertruck, bring it to Thailand. It's hard to get the vehicle here. It's hard to get it approved. You basically have to go through a special process to get the vehicle approved. And it's like an 80% tariff. And I think when you add all the tariffs together, it's like 130%. So I'd pay $80,000 for think it was $80,000 for a Cybertruck in America, maybe 100,000, and then I'd pay 130,000 more, and then I'd get it here, and then I'd have to jump through some other hoops. So, Thailand is the number two market in the world for pickup trucks. America should be selling pickup trucks from America here. Instead, Ford has a factory in Thailand selling Ford Rangers, making Ford Rangers and selling Ford Rangers. F-150s are a little large for the Thai market. I think people would buy them if they could, but they're not available because of non-tariff barriers and because of tariffs. So that's Thailand is just one example. So Trump is setting the table, identifying countries that are willing to trade fairly and not just on tariffs, but on non-tariff barriers. You have to, and the US Trade Representative just posted a post of like 10 different examples of non-tariff barriers, Thailand being one of them. They don't allow American ethanol to be exported to Thailand. Just when Thailand uses ethanol, when you go to a gas station and buy gas, you'll see various ethanol variants of gasoline, but America's not allowed to sell ethanol here. That's not a tariff, it's a non-tariff barrier. You can't sell it. So, and America's not innocent. America has non-tariff barriers. America has issues, but America's one of the freest countries in the world to sell into. And you see that. You go to the store and you see all these foreign products, right? So, and I see barriers here in Thailand, not just to America, to Japan. Uniqlo is a very popular clothing brand. We buy clothes at Uniqlo here in Thailand. We go to Japan, it's like half the price. And Daiso is a sort of a knickknack store, or whatever, and it's a Japanese store chain, and their labels show what the Japanese price is half the time, and the Japanese price is like half or a third of the price in Thailand. And that's not because Daiso wants to charge a lot of money for its products. It's because Japan makes it hard, Thailand makes it hard for Japanese to sell products here. So that I just, there's two critical points here. One is don't panic when everyone's telling you to panic. The idea that Mark Kelly can predict the stock market or Jim Cramer can predict the stock market or no one knows what the market's going to do. And the idea that Donald Trump being aggressive on trade is somehow going to collapse the stock market in one day is obviously false. Rohan Patel, I love. It's like, oh, the market's down 10% since Trump started this stuff. 10% cares. Markets go up, markets go down. Is he helping? Is the question about trade is in the long run, looking 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, will we have better trade relations for the United States with other countries than we have now? I'm not sure about the tariff thing. People are complaining, and I understand that if you have a 10% tariff, I think the idea that Trump is operating on is we're going to have a 10% base tariff. I'm not sure whether he's going to flex on that or not. But if you have a 10% base tariff, yeah, that's going to raise prices 10% on imported goods, although it will encourage you to buy domestic goods, and maybe that's a 5% price increase rather than a 10% price increase. I don't love it, but I don't love any tax. And if you're going to lower income tax, you're going to lower capital gains tax, you're going to lower some other tax, and now it's a question of which are you taxing? Are you taxing income? Are you taxing this? Are you taxing that? If the tax revenue is the same, but you're taxing imports rather than taxing income, just to give an example. And I studied economics. There's a perspective in economics that income tax is the most efficient tax. I don't agree with that because I'm just doing my taxes right now, and it sure as hell doesn't feel efficient filling out all these goddamn forms. Tariff's easy. There's no forms to fill out for me. It's that particular product costs 10% more in the store, but I got to hand the government 30% of my income, and I got to spend 20 or 40 hours figuring out the paperwork, or I got to pay an accountant. I used to pay an accountant like $2,000-3,000 a year to do all my taxes. Now my income is so low, my accountant retired, and his firm doesn't want my business anymore. So I got to do it myself, and it's like it's a pain in the ass. When economists say, oh, income tax is efficient, they're not counting the time I have to spend doing the paperwork, or you have to spend doing the paperwork, or you have to pay an accountant to do the paperwork for you. So income taxes aren't efficient either. Is Trump going to get us to a place where we're raising money from tariffs instead of raising money from income tax? I don't know. I don't know that. If that's the plan, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The real goal for me is cut spending. Doge is cutting spending. If they follow through on those spending cuts, if Congress follows through and actually reduces federal spending, Trump actually reduces federal spending, and we're able to raise a little bit more revenue, and we're able to cut into the deficit, we're able to cut into the interest payments. He's able to lower the interest rates. We can able to renegotiate our loans, the federal government's loans, and pay lower interest on the loans that are coming. All makes sense to me. But the fundamental thing is don't panic. Stock market's going to go up, stock's going to go down. Tesla's going to go up, Tesla's going to go down. What are the fundamentals? I think that Trump is fundamentally correct that other companies have been trading unfairly with the United States for a long time. And I think what he's trying to do is create much more fair trade relations with other countries that will lead to more companies choosing to manufacture in the United States, which is better for the US economy, probably. Make us less dependent on China for our supply chains, which I personally think we'd be better off partnering with China and not worrying about this stuff. Getting China to have lower trade barriers, yes, but I think an interdependent world is better. But I'm not sure China thinks an interdependent. China wants to play fair, right? China may want to use the supply chain to hold us hostage to their power. So if you believe in power politics, and I don't think that's necessarily wrong, then you don't want to be dependent. And look, Elon tries to localize supply chains for his companies. So if you change the game and force companies to work hard to localize their supply chains, it's probably more efficient in the sense, right? Because and I want to backtrack and say, listen, one of the things I think is unfair is that China can't sell electric vehicles in the United States. I just rode in a BYD Dolphin, spent like 2, maybe 3 hours, and my friend here in Thailand just bought a BYD Dolphin. It's a $14,000, $15,000 car. Why don't Americans have access to $14,000 or $15,000 electric vehicles? And I think they're cheaper in China. Why can't Americans buy a $15,000 city car that they can charge at home and save a ton of money? I wouldn't want it as my main car, but as I would probably want it as my daily driver, save a ton of money. If I'm a working class person and gas bills and the car payment are killing me, now all of a sudden I can buy a car for $15,000 and cut my effective fuel bill by 75%, and American workers don't have that option. So it's, like, America's not innocent. And I would love to get to a place where Americans can buy a BYD Dolphin or a BYD Atto 3 for less than $20,000, charge it home, save money. So, the trade thing it's not that simple, right? But, can we get to a point where we can trade fairly with everyone? I don't know. I'd like to see it. I don't think American car companies are going to benefit in the long run from anyway, because they're dead. I think the Chinese EV makers are the only ones that are going to survive. And if Americans can only buy Teslas, I'm not going to cry as a Tesla shareholder, but it's not really the best answer for all Americans. The one basic point is, if you panicked yesterday, if you bought the fear, ask yourself, why did I fall for it? How do I do better next time? And I don't have easy answers for you, but I would just say, don't trust a bunch of yahoos shooting their mouths off about what the market's going to do tomorrow. They don't know. They might be right, they might be wrong. Thanks so much for watching.